Hey guys, Maverick here, ready for another episode of Dr. Stone. So, last episode, we got our chemistry lab, or Senku I should say, got his chemistry lab up and running, and now he's ready to do some science, right? Though he now needs the ingredients first. And so for this episode, I do believe that we're going to be heading out on a small adventure, right? Not a big one, but just enough to, I guess, keep things fresh, if you will. Along the way, we'll probably also meet what can be considered the strongest lady of this series so far, which is about 120 chapters in. But I'm not going to spoil the fun for you guys. Let's just get into the episode. Alrighty, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. And I mean, Kohaku is plenty strong, but this dude. Slap him on. Oh, nice. Yeah, you probably don't want to lick that. Just saying. They're getting right down into the business. Of course, with him already saying sulfa drugs. Well, it's fairly obvious they're dealing with chemicals here, right? So, chemical reaction and whatnot. But hold that thought, let me skip this real quick. And back. Buddies back to back. Of course, if there's no wildlife, you should probably guess that it's toxic or poisonous in some kind of way. Hey! Hey! Yep. You know, they probably should have told him to come back a lot earlier than this. Ah, they didn't. I feel like there was a bigger gap with the manga. But I mean, it proves its point. A deadly booty. Sulfuric acid is actually one of the more important chemicals of the modern world. No idea if that's actually true or not. Science it up! You know, they're prepared for biological warfare if they need to. And of course, this series is a little bit more wholesome than that. As if that could be condensed into one night. Like, come on. Um, Again, in one night, I highly doubt it. Hmm. Okay, okay, never mind. Yeah. I did like that face that Chrome made. He really does have a personality similar to Taiju. But like a completely different set of abilities. Mm-hmm. Aww. Oh, that was nice. I was wondering how they were gonna animate this scene. In the manga, they use like a before and after panel. Activated carbon. Looking at the time, I think they're gonna be able to finish this in this episode. They should. You know, when I first read about this in the read this scene in the manga, the thing that really stood out to me is like, how the hell were they able to make gas masks in this era? In reality, though, I feel like Senko, being the logical person he was, would have found some way to actually test it out first. Well, technically some people can be. Although it's more of a disorder. Sure, dude. Sulfuric acid, his entire body would be burned up in a second. I like how he was able to get here without anybody noticing. Anime logic, right? It's also a miracle that he didn't actually, you know, slam and damage his gas mask. Alright, there we go. At least the conclusion of the mini adventure. Alright, I'll see you guys in a second. So, there we go. We finished the sort of mini adventure and acquired sulfuric acid so that our main characters, Senku especially, can start to do the rest of their chemistry work, right? And of course, we're also introduced to another technically female character here in Sophie-chan. I believe that's what she's called in the West, the personification of the sulfuric acid, right? In Japan, her real name is actually called Ryu-san, which is a play on words, actually. So Ryu, her name is Ryu, and then san is, you know, the Japanese honorific. But Ryu-san is actually also the kanji, the pronunciation of the kanji for sulfuric acid in Japanese as well. So it's sort of like a double play on words there. She's actually a fan favorite, although honestly I don't really know why. I'm not that big on her as some other people, but apparently, you know, she got like, I don't know, rank 14 or rank 15 in the Dr. Stone popularity poll. And, well, it's actually not the last time we're going to see of her, right? I can spoil this much. We're going to be seeing her again in the future. So do keep your eyes peeled for that if you did like her character. But for me, really, when I was reading the manga in regards to this part, the part that I really liked was in terms of Chrome's and Kohaku's character development, right? So, you know, one thing that I really like about Dr. Stone as a series is that even though, you know, we got Senku, this super OP, he's sarcastic, he's snidey, I like characters that are smart, but even though he's super smart, super intelligent, and super OP in terms of, you know, scientific stuff, right, that's his entire niche. If he wants to complete anything, he needs to rely on others to, you know, to come together and to work together in order to achieve this sort of goal. He's not someone who can just simply do everything by himself. And indeed, you know, everybody is equally important here. We're only currently like 12 episodes in, so there's a lot more characters that are still yet to come. But they each bring their own unique talents, you know, considering it's sort of like from the modern world, right, where everything is specialized. So everybody has their own specialized talents that they all need to work together in order to actually progress society and progress technology, right? So that's one thing that I really like about the Dr. Stone series as a whole. Now, Chrome here, however, he's in a sort of awkward position, right? Because his abilities sort of overlap with Senku. They both specialize in science, right? Now, the thing here is that, of course, Chrome is never going to be as good as Senku in this regard, right? Even with Senku's, you know, OPness and, you know, his natural, you know, inhuman ability and talent for retaining knowledge and whatnot, he also has the benefit of having thousands and thousands of years of head start over Chrome, right? So, you know, how exactly are they going to make him not be always in the shadow of Senku, if you will. But as we can see here, right, he's still, even though he's clearly inferior to Senku in terms of his knowledge and whatnot, he doesn't let that be his defining point, and he actually does stand out on his own as well. And this is like the first instance. When I was reading the manga here, I was actually really impressed by Chrome, which I wasn't before, because like I said, to me, he just felt like sort of the shadow of Senku, right? His apprentice or whatnot. But here we can see that, you know, even he can beat some reason into Senku sometimes. And indeed, later on into the series, we see more and more how he has his own unique perspective on the world. And so even though his scientific knowledge might not be as good as Senku's, he's still invaluable to the entire, to the entire story, to our group of, well, how should I really call them? Just our group, right? So I did like that part. And also Kohaku as well, I did enjoy learning a little bit more about like why she's acting this way, why she's sort of like the rebellious character of her family and whatnot. And of course, it's touching as well, right? So yeah, those are the main things I really did like from this episode, or I should say from the manga as well. I feel like, if I had to nitpick a little bit, I feel like they didn't fully, like, I don't know, when I was reading the manga, I felt really impressed by the character development for Chrome and Kawaku here. But seeing this in anime form, I'm not sure if it's just because I already know it, so I'm not as impressed, or if it's because, like I've been saying from the first episode, I feel like a lot of times they're just taking the scenes directly from the manga, like sort of like the exact same camera angles and whatnot, and just literally making it into anime form, right? So to me, it was a little bit underwhelming in terms of this part. So, whatever, right? So that was in terms of the episode, and in terms of the science used here, well, honestly, there are a few things, a few suspicions of disbelief that I feel like is. Now, first of all, I've already said numerous times, this is not based on hard science, right? It's using science as a foundation and doing some, anime stuff, so doing some ridiculous stuff. However, the oversights in this episode, I feel like could have been, the author could have easily fixed this and still maintained the story along without sacrificing any of the, the anime or manga or fictional epicness or whatnot, right? And so here I'm talking about two things. One is in regards to how Senku is so reckless in making his decision of making this gas mask, and number two is in regards to some specific properties of the gases here, the hydrogen sulfides. So first of all, it's great that they are using the offered thought of a way of letting them use gas masks and all that, right? It's how should I say it? It goes on with this really ridiculousness of, hey, they're using something that's really modern. This is like 20th century stuff, that kind of gas mask, and transporting into literally like the Stone Age, right? And the author even made a point of, so we know activated carbon, this is something that maybe a lot of you guys would know already just from, I guess, high school chemistry or whatnot. But the thing that the author did here was that he also did something that's slightly more chemically advanced, and that's adding potassium carbonate in here through a process called impregnation of the activated carbon or activated charcoal. No, I think we should say activated carbon, which actually what it does is it boosts the filtering capabilities of the activated carbon, and so it can better out filter all this nasty stuff, right? Now the thing here, however, and the main gripe I have with this is that I feel like it's uncharacteristic for Senku to do something so reckless when he doesn't even know like the concentration of the gases there, right? So gas masks are not, they aren't like an invincible button here against poisonous gases, right? They have a specific limit that they each have, which is typically measured by the concentration of the poisonous gases within a particular area. We measure that in ppm, parts per million. Modern ones can go to up to like 5,000, 10,000, something like that, in terms of their filtering capabilities. In this case, however, two things, right? One is Senku does not know what the actual poison concentration is near that lake, and second of all, he doesn't even know what the filtration capability is for his own apparatus, right? So we could easily be in a situation where the concentration of gases within that lake is so much that this gas filter will just simply not work. This gas mask will just simply not work, right? So, I guess it's not the end of the world that they didn't do this, but I would have really enjoyed if, Senku, through everything that we've read about him or seen of him in this anime so far, is that he thinks of everything, right? Well, not literally everything, but for something as simple as this and as basic as this, you could easily picture Senku doing some things like, okay, let's use this kind of method to measure, like what is the concentration of the gases here, and so doing some quick calculations, I need to use this much carbon, I need to add this much potassium carbonate in order to match the filtration capabilities, and that is how he gets something that actually works, right? So yeah, I feel like they could have easily made that a little bit more believable, I guess, in a sense. And the second thing here is also in regards to believability, and that is, well, in essence, eye protection and perhaps even skin protection, right? Because the thing here is that the concentration that they're talking about within this episode, where literally if they just breathe in a little bit and they would instantly die, that is very, very high concentration. And in that kind of concentration, your eyes would also get blinded from the gases here, from the toxic gases here. And they literally, just being near that place, their eyes would probably start already be watering up, and their noses, they would be smelling the rotten smells of the how sulfur usually smells, like rotten eggs and all that. And well, basically I'm just saying that just because you have a gas mask that allows you to have breathable air doesn't mean that you can forego the rest of your protection, right? And especially in this case where they already made glasses. They already made a sort of like helmet device for Suika, right? So they could have easily made like a full cover gas mask to protect the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and all that, right? And potentially even like wrap themselves up a little bit more to protect their skin as well and not get irritated here. So again, I'm not sure if the author just was rushing things a little bit, or not. But I just feel like they could have easily alleviated these questions without sacrificing too much to the story, and indeed maintaining pretty much the same thing, just even adding a little bit more content here, or just changing a little bit on how they're creating the devices, the gas mask and whatnot. So I feel like it was kind of a missed opportunity there. Is it nitpicking? Maybe, right? Of course we are supposed to have our suspension of disbelief in regards to the series as a whole, but still, I would have liked it to be a little bit more sciencey, if that is a word. So yeah. And I think that about covers this episode, right? In the next episode, I reckon that we're going to be really, really close to the actual tournament arc, right? The one where they decide who becomes the village chief, and so can take Ruri's hand in marriage and all that, which is also going to cover at least a few episodes, right? So, well, looking forward to that place, I guess. And yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I'll see you guys next week again. So, bye-bye.